This is Chris Callett with 123 Muse, and I'm going to show you how to create GIFs in Photoshop, and then how we can take them into Muse, and how we can use our new GIF player widget to control the playback of the GIFs. So let's jump straight into Photoshop. Now first off, we need to have some video. We're going to use a video to create the GIF. So let's go into our samples here, the GIF training samples. If you're a member of 123 Muse, you can download these as part of your subscription. And we're going to take a look at what we've got in there. We've got some sample GIFs here, and then we've got this video here. So we're going to use that. So in Photoshop, you want to go to File, Import, and then go to Video Frames to Layers. And then we'll go to our desktop GIF training, video samples, grab the movie there. Now, with a GIF, you don't want to bring in the entire video because it would make it huge in file size. So GIFs are ideal for short animations. We've recorded this particular animation at 10 frames a second to keep it nice and short. So let's just go ahead and find a section that we want to, let's say for instance, this section here where we bring the GIF player loader onto the page. So we'll set an in point there, and then we'll set our out point to where we've dragged it onto the page and released. There we go, that's fine. Okay, so that's the piece of video we want. This is very useful because we can set our in and out points here for the video. You could have already preset these in Premiere or whatever video editor you're using, but this is very useful. Everything else we will leave the same. Make frame animation, that's what we want, and click OK. Now notice what Photoshop does is it brings in all of our frames here, and it brings them in as individual images in individual layers, which is very useful because that's what a GIF, an animated GIF is. It's a series of still images played back in sequence that creates the animation. So now that we have those in there, if we just scroll through, we can see the animation happening there. That's fine. Now, what we want to do is we're going to keep this the same size, but we actually want to change the speed. And the speed here, we can see that there's a delay or interval between each frame here of 0.1 second. And we want to make that a little bit slower. Let's first of all, let's just export this out and see how fast it runs, and then we can take a look at slowing it down afterwards. So now that we have our video here, now we could crop the image size down. We could change the image size. So let's actually do that. And so let's go to image size and then make sure it's linked because we want it to resize proportionally. Let's take that down to, let's say, 800. Now we're also going to select, we're going to shift select, so select number 1 and then shift select the end frame and optimize the animation. So let's optimize that. We're going to optimize to our bounding box. So we can see here our bounding box with their little handles here. Redundant pixel removal, so any pixels that aren't required, it'll remove those, and that's been optimized now. And let's export that out. So with the export of this particular animation, we're going to use the Save for Web Legacy because that has some good animated GIF controls in it. We can see, we can play the animation back here. Now it is going to be playing it back slightly slower than the finished product just because of the way that this particular preview works. And we can see that it's 390k there. Let's see what we can change. If we change it to selective, then we get 408, adaptive 411. So let's keep it to perceptual here. And let's just save it to the desktop. So save desktop, let's call it sample 1 and save that out there. Let's have a look. So you can see that's running quite fast, so we can slow that down anyway. So with these all selected still, if we go to the end frame number 18 and we'll go to other here and we'll select our delay to, let's say, 0.5 and export it out again. Export, save for Web Legacy, and just save that back over the top of this GIF here. Place that, and let's try again now. So now it's going that little bit slower, I actually think that we could take a couple of frames off there. We don't need those first frames, so because it just seems to be dithering a bit. So let's see, where could we start from? This is the great thing with having the individual frames here. We can, there we go, let's start it from there. So these 4 frames here, we're just going to dump those. And let's save that out again. Export, save for web legacy, save. There we go. And let's take a look at that now. Maybe a little bit slow. Let's just change it to 0.2. Let's see what that looks like. File, export, save web legacy, save, and there we go. Place. There we go. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Okay, so the final thing that we're going to do here to prepare our files ready to use in Muse is we're just going to, this initial frame, which is the poster frame, much like when you're using videos, you need a poster frame. We'll just select that first frame there, go to File, Export, Quick Export as PNG, and save that to our desktop and call that Sample 1 PNG and save. Okay, so now we have the asset files that we need to use in Muse. So let's go ahead and let's just close that down. And we're now going to jump into Muse and add those files into Muse. Let's go ahead and open Muse. And I've got this sample page here that we'll be using in tutorials. And it's just kind of blocked out of just a simple page layout. Obviously these are meant to signify text areas, and let's go ahead and take a look at this widget. Now if we just take a GIF onto the page here, let's just take this GIF that we exported out and see what happens. So we're going to put this on the page and just hit preview. Now we can see that the animation is running, that's all fine, and it's just continuously running. It's on forever loop, so it'll just happen over and over again. So you could do that, you could just have it set like that. However, we want to have a bit more control over it, so we're going to use our GIF player widget. So if we go to our library, the first thing we need to do is put the script loader on. Now this script loader will load up everything that's required to control the GIFs, and if you put this on the page, well, you have to put this on the page first before the GIF player. What it does mean is that you can have multiple GIFs on the page and they'll all use this this GIF player script to control the actions. So once you have that down, you can put multiple instances of this widget down on the page and they will all work nicely. You can also use this, you can use multiple widgets, multiple instances of GIFs and set them in a group so that when one plays it switches the other one off and so on. So we'll take a look at that in a minute anyway. Okay, so we've put our instance onto the page and we're going to take a look at the options here. We want the play on click, we could have it on hover. Group name, that's fine, we'll leave that the same, and let's load up our files. So we've got our sample GIF, and notice how it'll only allow us to load a GIF into the loader, and this will only allow us to load a PNG. That's one of the controls in the MooCow file, which is really useful because it means that you can't load the wrong type of image in. We're going to show the button for the time being, and let's just go ahead now and preview that. So now if we take a look at our GIF, we can see that it's paused, and we're using the PNG poster image. Now when we click on the GIF, then the animation runs, and if we click on it, it will switch off. We could switch it to hover mode. So if we switch to hover, then of course when we take a look at the preview here, it will start as soon as our mouse goes over the image. We can switch the button off, and let's switch the button off and leave it on click. So now we can see the GIF there. There's no button here, but as soon as we click it, then the animation will run, and likewise we could use the hover option there as well. If we switch the button back on, we have some controls over the color of the button, so I'm going to change that to, let's say, this green here. We can change the text, we'll change that to go, and we'll change the border to 0 so we've got a nice flat look to it. Let's preview that now, and we can see we've got this green button, click go, and the animation plays. So it's a very simple, straightforward widget, but it has a lot of capabilities. Now let's load up, let's grab a couple of instances. I'm going to resize this. Let's make this let's make that square. Let's just resize that to that, that's fine. And now I'm going to alt click to create a couple of instances here. So I'm alt clicking on that to drag a new instance out. And if we hit preview, we can see all of our videos here, although they're the same. Imagine if they were different ones. They all have a button, so we can hit go on this one, that's animating. And then if we hit go on this one, that one stops and that one plays. We can create multiple groups, so if I create these and let's drag all of those down like that. Again, I'm alt click drag. And what we're going to do with these ones is we're going to change the group name to 2. And 2, they need to be matching to be in the same group. And 2. Okay. Now when we preview this, we can see we have our 6 videos there. We press go on that one, press go on that one. Then if we press go on this one, these are still running, but then we can control that with those. So now we have control over the different groups, and that control is used by the GIF group name. So whichever widgets are sharing the same group name, they will control each other. So that's basically it with producing a GIF in Photoshop and then using the GIF with our the 123 Muse GIF player in your Muse projects. Next, we have a video showing you how to do a similar thing for creating the GIF with the GIF Brewery app. So take a look at that as well. But if you don't have GIF Brewery, you can of course just use Photoshop.